Most businesses do not fail because of bad execution. They fail because they solve the wrong problem. They copy competitors. They follow industry habits. They accept assumptions they never questioned. So they build slightly better versions of broken models. You see startups with great teams but terrible unit economics. Companies growing revenue but losing money. Products that look good but nobody truly needs. Businesses optimized for today but fragile tomorrow. All of this comes from poor problem framing. There is one thinking method that consistently fixes this: first principles thinking. Today, we will explain what it is, how it works, how to use it in business, and how it helps you build companies that are structurally strong, not just operationally busy. Let us start simple. First principles thinking means stopping the habit of copying solutions. Instead of asking what successful companies do, you ask what must be true for this business to work at all. You go back to basic facts, then you rebuild from there. In more formal terms, first principles thinking is a way of breaking complex systems into their most fundamental parts, the things that cannot be reduced further, and then designing solutions from those foundations. In business, these foundations are things like physical limits, economic limits, human behavior, regulation, time, and capital. You design inside reality, not inside industry tradition. Now, let us compare this with how most people think. Most people use analogy thinking. Analogy thinking means copying patterns. If Uber did this, we do this. If Amazon priced like that, we price like that. It feels safe, it feels proven, but it traps you inside other people's assumptions. Imagine Lego blocks. Analogy thinking is taking someone else's Lego model and changing the color. First principles thinking is dumping all the Lego blocks on the table and asking, what can I build from scratch? Or think about cooking. Analogy thinking is following a recipe. First principles thinking is understanding heat, ingredients, flavor, and nutrition, then creating your own dish. Or building a house. Analogy thinking is copying your neighbor's floor plan. First principles thinking is understanding materials, load, climate, and cost, then designing the house that fits your land. Or machines. Analogy thinking is tuning an existing engine. First principles thinking is understanding energy, friction, and motion, then designing a new engine. In business terms, analogy thinking copies competitors. First principles thinking starts from constraints. Analogy thinking improves existing models. First principles thinking creates new ones. Analogy thinking is faster and safer. First principles thinking is slower but much more powerful. Now, let us build a practical framework you can use. Step 1. Define the real problem. Most teams solve symptoms. Sales are low, costs are high, churn is rising. These are signals, not root problems. The real question is, what system is producing this result, and what outcome do we actually want? Step 2. Break the system into parts. Every business is made of demand, delivery, costs, pricing, operations, people, and cash flow. Map them clearly. Step 3. Separate assumptions from constraints. Assumptions are beliefs. Constraints are realities. Customers will not pay monthly is an assumption. Shipping takes 5 days is a constraint. Manufacturing must be in Shenzhen is an assumption. Material cost is a constraint. This step alone removes many bad decisions. Step 4. Identify fundamental variables. These are the numbers that control everything. Cost per unit, conversion rate, retention, throughput, price sensitivity, fixed costs, working capital cycle. This is the physics of your business. Step 5. Rebuild the solution. Not what others do, but what works under your real constraints. This is where new business models appear. Now let us look at practical tools. First, the assumption ledger. Write down everything you believe about your business. Market beliefs, cost beliefs, customer behavior beliefs, operations beliefs. Then mark each as proven, unproven, or false. Most strategies collapse here. Second, the 5 whys. When something goes wrong, ask why. Then ask why again, 5 times. This reveals the root cause. Revenue is down. Why? Repeat purchases dropped. Why? Onboarding is confusing. Why? The product is too complex. Now you know what to fix. Third, cost floor analysis. Ask, what is the cheapest this can possibly be? Calculate raw materials, labor, energy, shipping, compliance. This tells you whether your business can ever be profitable. Fourth, unit economics. Price minus variable cost. That is it. If this number is negative, nothing else matters. Fix this first. Fifth, constraint mapping. Find the bottleneck. Sales, production, capital, hiring, distribution. Growth equals the speed of your slowest part. Sixth, zero-based design. Pretend your company does not exist. Design it again from scratch. Org structure, product, pricing, processes. Seventh, inversion thinking. Ask, how would this business fail? Then, avoid those paths. Now let us see a full example. A hardware startup sells smart devices. Price is $120. Cost is $100. Margin is 17%. Investors want 40%. The team says, we need better marketing, but that is not the real problem. The real problem is the cost structure. Break the costs. Electronics, $45. Assembly, $20. Packaging, $8. Shipping, $12. Warranty, $10. Miscellaneous, $5. Now separate assumptions from constraints. They assume manufacturing must be in Shenzhen. They assume individual shipping. They assume premium packaging. They assume a 2-year warranty. Constraints are quality standards and delivery time. Now identify fundamental variables: cost per unit, failure rate, return rate, shipping cost per kilogram, batch size. Now rebuild. Move to regional assembly, save $7. Batch ship to warehouses, save $6. Redesign packaging, save $4. Improve quality control. Warranty cost drops to $4. New cost becomes $79. New margin is $41, 34%. Now the business works. That is first principles thinking. Now let us see where this applies. In strategy, you design around market structure, cost curves, and distribution physics, not competitors. In product design, you start from user pain and technical limits, not feature lists. In operations, you optimize flow, throughput, error rates, and capital cycles. In pricing, you use value created, cost floor, and demand sensitivity, not industry averages. In hiring, you design roles around work needed, not job titles. In capital allocation, you invest where return is higher than cost of capital, not where it feels comfortable. Now let us talk about limits. First principles thinking can be slow. It can lead to overanalysis. It can ignore human psychology. It can reinvent problems already solved. Use it for big decisions, system design, new business models, not for every small choice. Now the conclusion. Execution matters, but execution on a bad system only scales failure. First principles thinking helps you design systems that survive competition, price wars, and shocks. Systems that compound advantage. Great businesses are not built by working harder. They are built by designing better systems. And first principles thinking is how you design them. If you master this, you stop chasing competitors. You start defining the game. If you found this useful, like the video and subscribe to the Business Manual. Here, we break down how businesses really work, from strategy and systems to models and execution. Thanks for watching, and remember, do not just work harder, design better systems. See you in the next one.